Hello.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Um, Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us in this webinar.
Hello.
Hello.
Mọi người giới thiệu tên đi, không biết ai là ai hết.
Okay, so hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us
Hello
for
mọi
the round 3 interview Q&A webinar today. So my name is Hong, and I'm going to be the facilitator of the round 3 interview Q&A webinar today. First of all, I would like to apologize because we're a bit late because we had a meeting running over. But first of all, congratulate to all of the candidates who passed the second round of SEO-V. And we really hope that this interview Q&A webinar will give you a little bit more insights about our program in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, a little bit of information about our partner firms, and some interview tips, which will help you to ace the interviews in the next round. So I just want to introduce you to the speakers that we have today. So first of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Long Ngo. So he's currently the operations director of the Ho Chi Minh City program, and he's an alumni of 2015 as an academic intern at Yola. And we also have Ms. Hạnh Nguyen today. She's the operations co-director from SEO-V Spring 2016 onwards, and she's an alumni in our class of 2015 as an intern at EY Ho Chi Minh City SEO Spring 2015. We also have Mr. Hyung Nguyen. He's the SEO-V Hanoi founder and co-director, and is an alumni of class of 2011 as an intern at M Service. We also have Ms. An Chen, which is the SEO-V External Relations Director of the Hanoi program. She's also one of our alumni 2014 at PwC Advisory. And we have one additional speaker today joining us from the recruitment team, which is Ms. Van Le. She's intern at Indochina Capital 2015. And last but not least, myself, Hong. I'm currently the SEO-V recruitment officer and an alumni class of 2013 at Asia Commercial Bank. So thank you very much all the speakers who've spared their time on a Saturday night and joining us in this webinar. So now I would like to run through the agenda for the webinar today. So we're going to spend the first 10 minutes to talk about the Hanoi program, and then the Ho Chi Minh City program. Then will be followed by some interview tips
Với anh ấy tai nghe của Kim mà. Cái dây
that would be useful for you guys.
An phải Skype đúng không? Thôi cứ nghe đi, không biết là ai nói gì vậy.
Em phải nói gì ấy?
Em nói về năm nay team Hà Nội có
Team nào không phải nói không?
Hà Nội có một cái password nữa. 7 tuổi này, học tuổi này. Hai sẽ một.
And then at the end, we'll have the Q&A for all of you. So I've already received a lot of questions from the candidates, and I'll try to ask those questions to the speakers during the webinar. And at And during the webinar, if you have any questions, you can just type your questions in the comment box on the YouTube page that you're currently watching this webinar, and then we'll take those questions to the speakers directly. So now, without further ado, I would hand over to chị An Trần and anh Hiếu Nguyễn to talk about the Hanoi program this year. So chị An and anh Hiếu, please join us and share with us the Hanoi program this year.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, so sorry, I apologize first because both Anne and I are outside with the team. We just had another meeting, so that's why it's a little bit loud out here. So please pardon us for that. All right, about Hanoi program. This is the second year of our program in Hanoi, and the first thing that I would like you guys to know is that we have a lot more internships and a lot more positions this year, and especially it's very diverse with a lot of new positions and new programs that is not dominated by finance sector. So here is Anne, and she is the external relations director in Hanoi, and she is going to update you guys with the new internship, the current and the new internships, and as well as the new positions as well.
Hi guys. Hình như là volume không ở đấy. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. This year we will have a 30 employer in Hanoi, and we have a 35 position of internship. Besides the internship related to finance, like investment analyst or IBD analyst, we have some internship like the HR, marketing, trading, market information, technical assistant, or business development. We have other internship are finance and have about the business development, marketing, and so on. Okay.
Yeah, we also have some new partners like VN Direct and K Plus, K cộng đó, K Plus and Cốc Cốc, TNA, Masan, and Navigos. So it's not just about finance, as you know. Some people assume SEO is all about, but it's really not the case in Hanoi. We have internships for HR departments, for marketing, and of course business development as well. Some other sector as well, like agriculture for Pan Group, and Pan Group. And for finance, we have IDG Venture Capital, Ho Chi Minh Securities, EY, SSIAM, and Deloitte as well. Okay, all right. So that is for the internships part. For the other very important part of the component of SEO Hanoi is the mentor and mentorship program, which is make it real outstanding. Is that we have one-on-one mentorship with very important and significant business as well as public figures in Hanoi. We have, for example, you probably know the director of LOSI, and that is also among our partners. We have people graduated from HSB. We have a lot of directors ranging from different sectors, finance, marketing, and even FMCG. So that is a big things about Hanoi is the mentorship program, and again, because about the fact that we are the second year, that matter in the fact that we're no longer the first year, right? So the first year when it's so new, and we kind of like to test the water, but this year we fully launched new projects and the whole program, as well as the fact that it's relatively young to the the whole organization. So we direct more resources to Hanoi program with a lot more human resources across the team. So I think that's going to be very exciting summer in Hanoi. So of course, let us know if you guys have any questions. All right, I'm done. Hong Wei, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a lot of questions submitted by the candidates regarding the program in Hanoi and how it's different compared to the program in Ho Chi Minh City. And I guess Anh Hiếu and Chị An have already covered that part. But just one question to follow up on that. So have you guys got any dates for the start date and the end date for the Hanoi program yet, or it's still in the process of finalization? Because a few
It is still in it's relatively it's good to be in the middle of June, but we have not finalized the date yet because we don't want to collide with the opening ceremony in Ho Chi Minh City, because as you guys know, we all the board members as well as the major figures of SEO Vietnam would fly into Hanoi in the first week of the program like last year, and we will continue that tradition. Therefore, we haven't figured out yet. But keep in mind that it could be likely to be the second week of June or the third week of June. It would not be early May. It would not be in July, obviously. So it will be somewhere in June.
Okay. Regarding the internship, we need you to commit the internship during the June and August. However, it's the agreement between you and employer, so you can start the internship maybe by early May or by the end of August. It depends on the agreement between you and employer. However, we need you commit during the period from June to August.
Right, and also some internships require you to be doing internship full of 3 months, and that is really depends on the company, and that is between in the negotiation between you and the as a company. But for the program, it's good to be in the middle of June till the middle of August.
Okay, thank you, Anh Hiếu. And one more question on the interaction between the Hanoi and the Ho Chi Minh City program. So are you planning to have any kind of gathering between the Hanoi and the SEO Ho Chi Minh City interns for this year?
That is underway, and we really want to propose some things like last year. You probably guys heard of the SEO summit, which takes place in the end of the summer, where everybody gather in the middle of Vietnam, which is Da Nang. We was Da Nang, and this year we summit might not happen because we want to save and we want to organize a bigger event for all the alumni next year or the year after. So that could not happen this year. However, as you probably know, that as soon as you graduate from the summer program, it become a part of the big community, become an alumni of SEO Vietnam. It's pretty much the same. Whenever you arrive in Ho Chi Minh City and or you arrive in Hanoi, and everybody from Ho Chi Minh program arrive in Hanoi, and we are on open for a lot of gatherings. And if you guys have friends in Hanoi, you probably heard a lot of gatherings that we organize. The New Year's, the Middle Years, even the Moon Festival, the Tet holidays, the Christmas, we have a lot of those gatherings, and that makes it great about the program in Hanoi.
Yep, thank you, Anh. It sounds really, really interesting. And I think now it's time for the Ho Chi Minh City program to persuade the candidates to choose Ho Chi Minh City as their location for this year. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Long Ngo to tell you a bit more about the Ho Chi Minh program this year.
Hello, can you hear me? Anyone?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, sure. So this is the 7th year of the Ho Chi Minh City program, and I will go through some of the schedule and the components of the program at Ho Chi Minh City, and then I will go through the employers. So basically, the program will start at June 16th and end by August 11th, so roughly 8 weeks, and we will have 6 parts of the program: in the internship, the trainings, the speaker series, and the career talks and the community service. and some other bonding activities, including networking events, buying trip, and games. Yeah, we go out a lot actually. So as for this year, an internship must be at one of our partner firms. We will not accept any external relationship. For trainings, you will have the technical and soft skill trainings, including skill like problem solving, Excel, PowerPoint, a new one with a new training with emotional resilience, like how to survive in a corporate environment, and then you have to apply all these skills into a case challenge. The next component is the speaker series, where you will visit a company, you'll meet with the CEO or some C-suite, some C-level managers, and to learn more about the company, the working, and for some career guideline. Next, we'll have the career talks. Usually, we'll have 4 career talks per program in consulting, finance, marketing, and startup. The next thing, the next biggest thing of the second biggest thing of SEO is the community service. Well, you will usually have to do something like a consulting engagement with an NPO NGO of your choice. The last thing I will have some. So in the next slide, I will go through the typical schedule, weekly schedule of an intern in SEO. So basically, every day from Monday to Friday, you will have an internship. You will work like 50 or 60 hours per week. Usually, we start from 8 a.m. until like 6 p.m. In the weekend, you'll have like 4 to 8 hours on average of trainings. The career talk will happen like once every 2 weeks. And in the afternoon, after the work time, you'll have the speaker series and other activity, including doing the community service or networking event. You will actually go out to each other. So last year in my class, like every night we go to the bar. This kind of interesting way to bond with people. So these are some photos from the ongoing class of spring 2016. These are training sessions. This is a speaker series where we visit the companies and discuss with the C-level managers. The next thing is a career talk. So we will invite like every event. We'll invite like 4 or 3 young professionals to talk with you about like how to enter this industry, what to prepare, what to expect, what the pros and cons of industry, and other activities including the buying. This year, XLE, one of our partner firm, actually invited us to their basketball game twice. So it's the first picture on the left, the top left corner, and the other 3 photos were from our buying trip at Bình Dương. So basically, we work really hard, but also we play really hard too. In the next slide, I'll go through our employer partners. This year, we have a lot of partners from server industry, not just the finance as usual. So in the entertainment sector, we'll have Yan TV, XLE. For e-commerce, we have Zalora and Lazada. And for the technology, we have the new some new partners, including Uber and VNG. Actually, VNG was not a new. VNG was a new one too. The name is Bob. M-Service. M-Service is the company behind the mobile pay, the mobile payment app. For the FMCG, we'll have McDonald's, and then ABI. ABI is the company that holds Tiger Beer or Heineken. For the educational sector, we'll have Shana Laboratory and Shana is like a hub for contemporary art, and then Everest Education. So this is the more traditional partner of SEO, usually like funds and Big Four. You can see we have Deloitte, we have PwC, we have Ernst & Young here, and sort of fund like including like Vienna Capital, Vienna Wealth, VIG, IDG Ventures, Horizon Capital, and Asian Capital. So basically, in Ho Chi Minh City, you will have a lot of way more choice than the Hanoi program. And one of the most important things is that if you're admitted to a class, you will spend 8 weeks with like 30 or 40 other interns from a wide range of companies. So basically, when you are interning at one company, you will know about other like 15, 20 companies. That's the most benefit of joining SEO-V program. So I think okay. So that's all I will talk about the employer partners. If you have any questions about any specific employer partner, you can ask us in the Q&A sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Long. I just noticed that some of the slide wasn't running during your speech, so maybe it would be helpful if I can have a hold of the slide, and then I will circulate to all the candidates. So
Okay.
yeah, so they can have a look at their own time. All right.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. But thank you, Long, for the comprehensive introduction about the Ho Chi Minh City program. It seems like there are a lot of partners and a lot of interesting positions are waiting for the candidates this year. So conscious of the time, I will now move on to the interviews tips, which I bet a lot of candidates are burning to hear their question to be answered. So, so I would invite all the speakers to join this interview tips sharing sessions. Because I've received a lot of questions from the candidates, so I'll just pick the most common question asked by them, and then if any of the speakers have any idea that they love to share with the audience, then please fire ahead. So I will start with the first question. So will the interviews be conducted in English or in Vietnamese? And some of the companies do not include a contact person in their job description. If I have any questions regarding a specific position, whom should I be in contact with, or do I have to contact through SEO-V? Maybe Anh Hiếu would like to share, or Văn would like to share with us?
Yeah, so I can talk a bit more about this. So on the description, job descriptions, there might not be a contact person, but definitely if you do end up getting an interview round, you'll get contacted by that company. So the process goes, you submit your resume and all your application to us, and we transfer your applications to the companies. And if you are selected to interview, then you'll receive some sort of notification from them. And sometimes like you don't really hear back from companies until May. Some companies are very late. Or like sometimes like it's really dependent on the companies after we transfer your applications to them. And if they reach out to you, then that means like your application is selected to go to the next round, interview round. And so whenever they send you an email, just kind of like ask them, follow up with them, and ask them about more details about the interview. And it really varies from companies to companies. So like some interviews are going to be in English and some have to be in Vietnamese, or some companies are going to be flexible. So it's just really dependent. Like you don't really have to do anything now. Just wait until they reach out to you, and then you can follow up with the questions.
Okay, thank you, Van. The next question is, if I had no professional work experience, only community service and major related activities and programs at school, what would you recommend me to do when interview asks job-related questions? I think this is a very common one. Who can help us to answer this question?
I can also take the question. So before SEO, like I didn't have any official work experience, but I feel like a lot of the skills that you gain from community service or leadership activities within school will be very transferable to your experience, like to your ability to fulfill your expectations as an intern. For example, if you have taken initiative to create some sort of initiative and recruit people and like take charge of people and fulfill these tasks and follow deadlines, like those are really important skills when it comes to working place, and those are the most important skills. Like people can learn at the job, and the skills and the knowledge required each job will vary. And it's more about like the attitude that you come in with and the curiosity to learn that you come in with that really matters. So it's about so I guess like best way to prepare, you don't really need to if you already have those qualities and those experience through your community service activities, you will be ready for the position for the internship experience if the company's decided that your resume shows that you have like potential to fulfill the capacity, like their expectations. So if you're selected to the interview round, most likely you already have enough capabilities. You show enough like skills and experience in your resume that the employers think that would be transferable and sufficient for the internship position. In terms of interview, it's really dependent on your pitch, your personal pitch. And I would tailor that to, I mean, it's really dependent on what position you're applying for. But let's say if you're applying for like, I don't know, like a finance position, for example, then like the skill you need is like ability to research, like resourcefulness, like commitment, like patience, like detail orientations, and you can definitely take a lot of those skills that are like kind of like pitch your stories, pitch your past experience based on the type of skills that you think would be very transferable and help you succeed at your internship position. So it doesn't have to be directly like finance related, but you can talk about how detail oriented you are as a person, and like how you really care about like quality of the work and how that would be very valuable to your position in internship, for example, and that would be something that would also be relevant.
Right. I just want to add very quickly is that the two key things you guys should know and should remember for particularly for this question is that first is the transferable skill, and the second one is to be strategic about choosing the company. If I were you, and that I don't have that much professional experience, especially on the technical skill, I would try to bridge that part with the transferable skill from the community service. For example, when I volunteer for like the SOS village, for example, then I could probably should mention about the fact that I could manage the finance for that particular activities if I am about to apply for finance firm. Try to find the particular angle of each experience that you have that could be related to the work that you're applying for. And to be honest, I think that the majority of firms would understand that you guys maybe the second year, then it could be very hard to get the first-hand experience on the technical skill, and that basically that's the reason why you guys are applying for SEO Vietnam, because you guys want to have experience. So I think they know that. The second point that I mentioned about strategic choosing your firms, that if you don't have that much experience on technical skill, then it's better to choose a company that doesn't require or doesn't heavily focus on that kind of experience. For example, if you are applying for internship in investment banking, or you apply for internship in trading, then excuse me, then the fact that the technical skill could play is so much bigger role. But if you're applying for business intelligence, or you're applying for a research method, or research market research, then the knowledge about the market, your local expertise play a bigger role at that. So I think it's really important to know what you have, how you can leverage your experience, and find exactly the right target of companies among SEO Vietnam that you think is suitable and you think you can obtain that. The key is to be practical and realistic about which company you would like to apply for. And for example, and one thing that very important to note is that over the years there are some firms that are too crowded with too many applicants, that even they accept only one candidate, even none. There are some companies even apply for any. Meanwhile, there are some very good internships that they don't have enough interest in, which I find very particularly not very strategic among the candidates. So it's really good to do your research, do your homework about which company that possibly you think you can apply for. Of course, it doesn't mean that you don't apply for your top choice, but to know I mean is that getting into SEO Vietnam is so much more important, at least in my opinion, compared to getting into the top company. Because look at the fact that, you know, what SEO Vietnam can offer compared to the fact that you can get the internships in so many other places. So you know, remember those two things: a transferable skill, a strategy, a chosen your company. Thank you.
Thank you, Anh and Van, for answering that question. I have the next question, which is quite challenging. So just a heads up for you guys. So, how can I be more impressive when answering familiar interview questions such as, tell me about yourself, what is your strength and weaknesses?
Well, I would think that it is the best to be very specific, and is I wasn't sure if, you know, only you guys attend this, the training seminar for writing essays. I think it's pretty much the same things about the star method, where you should have, you know, a good story to tell, a result to deliver, and a lesson that you learn from that. Even talking about strength and weakness, I think that it could be impossible to find an original answer, because, you know, we only have, you know, that limited amount of adjectives or strength and weakness, you know. And even if you bring up some totally new kind of strength and weakness, then and that even the interviewees doesn't understand, that would not work at all. The fact is that how you pick very simple thing, as for example, you know, my strength being confidence, and it is best when you can support that point, that, you know, being confident can help you to deliver this and that result from on the fact being confident is very important, and that to team, and that being confident, you know, could add to the result of the summer internship that you would like to join for them for the summer. So something like that, you know, it is about the story that you tell, the story and the details, as well as the meaning behind the story, that matters. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Anh. And I think I'll take the last question for the interview tips. So I know that a lot of the alumni involved with the interviewing process with SEO-V, and being in the role of interviewer would be easy for you guys to see the common mistakes that candidates normally have. So the question is that what are the common mistakes that candidates you interviewed usually make during the interview? And perhaps you can give some suggestions how to overcome those common mistakes, if possible.
I can share a bit about this. Is that I think this is by far the most common mistakes I see, and everyone can make this mistake. Is that your answer can be very generic and very expected, and there's nothing personalized or like make you stand out. And I think that's really hard. It comes back to the idea of like, how do you make your answers like more like just like different. And I think if the more personalized your answers are, the more specific they are, the better, because like find things that you think people, when you say it to people, it'll be like a surprise to people and really help make them curious about you, to learn more about you, and turn the interview into a conversation of like, so that your interviewer gets to know you more than like you spitting out like a paragraph that you prepared before that you can find online somewhere on like how to answer these type of questions. So I think like resources online are helpful, especially when you're doing your preparations for answering like certain type of questions, but don't follow those. Like definitely tailor, like make it your own. So like incorporate some facts, like interesting facts about your background, for example. Talk about why, like about your motivation. And I think that really like makes people like feel very like that can help people relate to you better. So for example, things that can help you stand out when you talk about your like pitch is like your background, where you're from, maybe like certain challenges that like major milestones in your life that make you become very interested in certain area, or like a significant experience that really shaped your perspective, or like shaped your like helped you find your interest and lead you to kind of like become interested in finding like learning more about this like type of career that you're applying for example. So make it as personalized and as unique as possible. And I know it's really hard, but if you put in a lot of time to prepare it and like just type it out, just spend some time to type it out, like just like organize your thoughts. And like I mean during the interview don't recite it, but like when you really prepare for the interview and you have a lot of interesting things to say, that's what like makes a conversation like an interview really great. It doesn't really come down to the language or like how fluent you are in language, but if your story is just like really meaningful and like the interviewer really likes it, they will find the conversation very interesting and becomes less stressful for you and also less boring for the interviewer.
Thanks, Van. And I would like to add a few points on this as well. So I think the thing I find really common mistakes that I found at the candidates is the structure of the answer, because it's really easy to ramble about something you did in the past. However, from the interviewer perspective, it is very difficult to follow. So I would like to replicate Anghil's point again about using STAR method, because it's really important that you stick to the to a framework so you know that what you're talking about. So you're talking about the situation, the task that you did, the actions you take, and the result at the end of it. Because it's really easy to talk about someone else does what and someone else does that, but then the thing that we interested in knowing more about you is what you did and what you contributed to that success of the project that you worked on. So just make sure that you structure your answer very clearly, and then try to sell yourself in a way that helps the interviewer know how you contributed to the project or to the work that you worked on. I think that's really, really important. Sometimes people overlook the fact that the answer needs to be structured, but it's really, really important. So I just cannot stress this enough. The structure of the answer is the key. Anything else that other speaker want to add to this question? Okay, it seems like all the thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I think one of the most serious mistake is that you do not know your CV inside out. So going back to the question how to make your answer interesting is basically if you know every details of everything in your CV, you can give really interesting insight into what you do, because just before the interview, just try to think, okay, so I did this, what have I been through, how did I emotionally go through this. So basically whenever I try to answer a question, I really think like, okay, so how did I emotionally go through this and how did I solve it. And every time I tell any interviewer about my like emotional journey, they really get really interested in that, and it makes them feel connected with me. So I think that's how you make your question interesting. Two things: tell them about your emotion, make them feel, tell them about your vulnerability, and the second thing is that know your CV inside out. Okay, I'm done.
Thanks,
Okay.
Long. And conscious of the time, I think we would now move on to some of the advice from the recruitment team, because I've also received a lot of questions from the candidates asking what are the strategic advice that that you guys can give us so we can choose the partner firms in a strategic way, and then what are the procedures if we got selected by our partner firms, what are the procedure if we're not selected by the partner firms. So I will pass on to Van to talk more about this. Hi, Van.
Yeah. So some strategic advice that I have is you should consider two things. Is one, like what are you personally interested in learning about, and what do you think as your potential could be your potential career, and so like that involves like really doing self-reflections and like getting to know yourself, like looking back in your own personal experience, see what you really like, what you don't like, know more about yourself and know what situation you'll be best fit for. And second thing is consider your past experience and your capability. For example, if you study finance, it makes more sense that you are going to something like business related, or instead of like going to an internship in like software engineering, for example. So consider if you have like enough skills so that you can pitch at like you can have enough like past experience or skills to really pitch to the company like during your interview, because like you don't have to have like extensive experience in that like type of area industry, because no one really does like as a college student, but you can talk about there has to be some sort of experience that you can share that shows that you're personally interested in it, and actions that you can share with people that like about like the actions that you've taken to show like how you have pursued it in the past, and that would make the interview like your answers like much more convincing than just saying that, oh, I just want to learn this because I don't know anything about it. So yeah, consider those two things, like what are you like, what do you like, what do you want to learn more about, and what are you capable of, what past experience you have that can help you tailor your story and pitch your story about why you want to do this position. In terms of the procedure, I would say that I would say that like the procedure, like I discussed earlier, you just turn in your application, your resume. I think you turn in your. I remember last year I turned in my resume and select a selection of like 5 companies, and then you just wait for the companies to reach out to you, and whenever they reach out, just then you follow up with them to schedule an interview. It's a very simple process. I think something I want to add is also another thing I forgot to add earlier about choosing company is that you also want to consider how competitive each company is as well. I think that as a freshman, for example, you might have had less, you might have kind of like less prior experience to really pitch to the company, and you have less experience like compared to upperclassmen who are junior and seniors, for example. So definitely like if there's, I would say like choose like 1 or 2 top firms that you really liked, and then choose like maybe also like 2 or 3 other firms that are maybe like less competitive, also will help you learn like relevant skills to whatever career that you're interested in.
Right. I just want to stress again on the fact on the strategy how to choose a good company because after so many seasons I still I really have to emphasize on this that there are some companies that overwhelmingly attract students. Meanwhile they accept only 1 or 2 candidates, sometimes none. So be very selective and be very careful, be realistic about it. Another thing is that when you rank your company choice, I wasn't sure if this year if there is much difference. Hong and others can add you more on that, but most of the time you get the chance to rank the companies from 1 to 5, and for only top choice of your companies. In your top choice of companies, your resume will be sent to the company, those top choice. Therefore, if you rank, if you think that you add the safety choice of this company and that company, then your resume might not get into the company because of the fact that we have to prioritize on your choice as well as match your top choice to the companies. Therefore, it is really important to to know your expectation as well as to be realistic about the company that you chose. It is also important about something like inside knowledge. That means that if you happen to know some alumni of SEO Vietnam who work at your targeted company, then it is good for you to get to know those people, ask them questions, and sometimes if you haven't known anyone, then it's just okay to approach SEO network, and I'm sure that people could be willing to share the contacts. But at the same time, be very humble as well as being considerate when you approach the alumni, because the fact that everybody is very busy. Most of us already have full-time job, as well as volunteer based in Vietnam, as well as some personal life. So sometimes it's going to take 2 or 3 days to reply to your request or so, and and also be specific about your questions that you want to ask the alumni about specific companies. And I'm sure that everybody could be willing to answer your questions. Again, you will see that I use a lot of words about specific, which is really important for professional word, especially at SEO Vietnam. Everything has to come to detail. So be specific at your answers, be specific about what you want, specific at what you want to know, and specific as a solution, the answers, the result. It has to bring down to details and numbers. And also for another tips that is crucial, as you guys already know, and but I want to stress again, is really to get prepared, to rehearse yourself, know how you sound is very important. Record your answer. It's very, rehearsing is different from reciting. You're not going to write your answer down to a specific questions. Instead, you think about scenarios, you think about some potential questions, and then you try to use different examples and form your answer and record that. Even have your friends or some other people to mock the interview for you. Get prepared is really crucial in that sense. The last tip, and this is about the speaking style. It is most of the time, and it's not just about interview for internship, but basically everywhere else, is that people would pick the person that they like. It's not just, sometimes it's not just based on the best technical skill, the best speaking, well, the best knowledge, person who perceives the best knowledge. It's not about that. It's really about how sometimes, I would say most of the time, but I said that the fact that being likable is really important. So it is good to make a conversation instead of being one-on-one. How could I say? Uh, if I ask one question, you answer that question. Instead, make a conversation like two professionals want to know each other. You want to know about the firm, you want to know about their experience as well. So if they ask one question, you answer, and you try to humbly ask another question. Make a conversation, and that could make you somehow more likable. They want to find and to pick the college for the summer, and that if you want that to be you, then you should appear yourself to be a good college, a good partners in that could help them in the summer. So that is my all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anh Hiếu. Okay, now I'm gonna take some of the questions that you guys submitted via the comment box. The first one is, are the requirements from each company needed to be strictly followed, or there could be some flexibility? For example, could a sophomore of a 3-year bachelor degree apply for a position which requires last year students? Also, would it be a great disadvantage?
As I said before, it is professional world. Be specific and be quite strict, basically very strict about what you're applying for. So if the job description, the JD already mentioned that they want last year, then if you're a sophomore, then it doesn't make any sense for you to apply for that position. If I were you, I wouldn't do that. And it definitely that could be disadvantaged about the age, but it also doesn't mean that it could be a totally no, because as from what I have known in the past, there are some candidates who obtain very good internship as only as a first year, second year, but how they could do that? That could be your question, right? Then my answer is that they know how to, leverage their experience. The people that have, those who were first or second year, they may be graduated from Singapore. They could be graduated from high school in UK, where they are 1 year older than most people in the same class. So they have some professional in, the year before they get into college, so they could use that advantage to leverage for the internship. So, if you have some disadvantage, then you should find some other advantage to, get over the bridge. It is really important to know who you are, what do you have, and whether the firm could potentially to accept that resume, that whole thing the whole package that you got. So, and again, it's about matching the right, person to the right internship. And then even after you figure out that match, then it's about how you deliver the match. Then that is everything that everybody has been talking about for this whole seminar already. So
Yep, thank you, Anh Hiếu. And the next question is that, is it possible to submit a separate CV and cover letter to each company that I chose? And I will take this question. So the answer, it is not possible. So you can only submit one CV and one cover letter, and that CV and cover letter will be sent to the different companies that you chose. So I think it's better to keep the cover letter general. However, if you've contacted by the person from the companies and they allow you to send, or they ask you to submit a cover letter specifically addressed to the company, then you can definitely follow up with the person in the partner firm and then send them with your cover letter and CV. And please jump in if you have any additional comments on this. Anh Hiếu, chị An, chị Hạnh. No? Okay. So the next question is, what if a candidate had already secured an internship in a SEO-V partner in June to August, but with a different position from what SEO-V offer? Would he or she still can be accepted as a SEO-V participant? And I would take this one. So given that you passed the second round of the SEO-V recruitment and you secure an internship with an SEO-V partner, then the answer would be yes, you will be accepted as a SEO-V participant.
but it is important to mention that you should notify the HR person, or at least communicate with the recruitment team, specifically about how your internship look like in the partner firm and who is your supervisor, because it is important to note that on all of the internships at SEO Vietnam we have a we have the supervisors designated the supervisor in the firm, so that we can guarantee and we can make sure that your internship at the firm is good. So you should take initiative to open that conversation between the HR, between your boss and future boss and the SEO team, so that we have that conversation. Another note is a little bit unrelated to your question, but I think it's important to note for you guys to know, is that for this year and for in the future as well, we will not accept external cases. That means that if you pass the second round but you don't have the internship, you could not secure internship from our partner, but you have internship outside of SEO Vietnam, it is definitely no if you want to get into SEO with that internship. And that might happen in the past, but will not happen this year and will not happen again in the future. I want to stress on that for the check a bit.
I also want to add something. So basically, if you have an internship at one of our partner without going through SEO, without applying through SEO, you should notify a recruitment team as soon as possible. Because actually last year, one of a person that I know, she has an internship at PwC before SEO, but then she tried to apply to some other firms through SEO, and in the end she didn't get any of those internships through SEO. And when she notified the recruitment team of her employment at PwC, it was like only 1 week before a deadline. And since she wasn't in a team that have partnership with SEO, we couldn't accept her into the program. So please be careful with this. Notify the recruitment team as soon as possible. Okay.
Thank you. And there's one question to follow up on that. So there's another candidate who's asking the same thing. However, he said that so he's got accepted for an internship position with a SEO-V partner, but it's from April until end of June. So would it be acceptable for him to join the program, or it is not acceptable?
Can you repeat the time frame again?
It's end of April until June, end of June.
Then that could not be suitable for the SEO summer program, because that could possibly count as spring, but it's actually in between, so it doesn't fit into both. And it is important that you have internship during the training, during the time when SEO Vietnam takes place in the summer, because the whole idea of SEO is about the fact that we put you into a healthy pressure of working in internship intensively, have training, have seminars, have networking event, everything at the same time. And the fact that to handle those pressure is also a very important milestone to develop your stamina for future career. So if your internship is before June, or doesn't align with the time frame of the SEO summer program, then it would not fit into you. I think it's very unlikely that you will not be able to get in. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will take the last question, which is, I am lucky to have the chance to work in some companies in SEO-V list before. I wonder, what is the difference between applying for internship as an SEO-V participant and applying as an individual?
It's a very, very good question. It is important to note that you guys have passed 2 first rounds of SEO Vietnam. So first, congratulations on that. I should have said that so much earlier. But it is important that you passed 2 very difficult round, right? The first round with like 3 essays. No other firms are asking for that. You have the first interview with SEO alumni. I think we are quite nice sometimes as well. But still, that counts the fact that you guys have passed 2 rounds, and most of the candidates that in the third round are very qualified. So if you so the companies know that, and we have a high reputation for very good candidates and very good internships at the same time. So therefore, if you apply as SEO member, that means that you have a a huge advantage over other candidates who apply from the outside pool. Another thing is that I already mentioned that the internship at SEO Vietnam, for every single position, we always have the supervisors in the firm that we know, that we trust that they could be your mentor for your career. So that counts a lot for that. Last point that I want to note is that when you are an SEO alumni, we have a strong network that could support you after you graduate from the summer program or the spring program, and that network are very beneficial for anyone. And look at the fact, the career tracks of most of SEO people end up very well positioned, a very good position, and the career track, their career go very quickly and thrive very fast, and that has been the reputation of us. And it could be great if you could become of us, and we could be very happy to support you, and we're very happy to welcome you to the family. But of course, that means that you have to pass the third round to have to secure an internship. Thank you.
Thank you, Enghill. And I think now I would ask all the speakers to share with all the candidates the things that they find they love the most about SEO internship, and maybe one advice that they would give to the candidates who are preparing for their interviews with the partner firms. So something short, but something which is really important to all the candidates. Maybe Long would like to start first.
Okay, so as for the internship, when I was working at Yola, I was so basically it was the proactive the proactiveness and daring to take initiative, the thing that I find the most useful there, because when I work at Yola, I have to deal with marketing and HR, and actually I know nothing about marketing and HR, so it takes me a lot of initiative. I read a lot, I talk a lot, I talk to my manager, I ask my friend to connect me to some HR director to learn, and then it was I have only like 2 weeks to know everything to know the basics of how to recruit a local student into Yola and everything. And the other thing is that because my direct supervisor, he gave me a lot of space to do my work. So he usually raise up a question, and then okay, he asked me if you have any idea. So to answer him, another thing I want to learn is you have to dare to take initiative. So by you do a lot of research, think a lot, being creative, so you can answer his questions. So yeah, two things. You have to take initiative and be proactive in every work.
Yep. Any advice for the candidates? Wise words?
Advice? Let me think. I think basically is that you should that your superiors, so like your direct manager, your CEO of the company, actually they are more than welcome to help you. And because they are really busy, you have to fight for their time. So if you need something, just book an appointment with them and talk to them. But before that, make sure that you do their homework. You do your homework. So you should do your homework and then come to them and say, okay, I have a plan. So how do you think about this? So you should have a plan already before approaching them, rather than come to them and ask, okay, so what should I do in this situation? Okay. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thanks, Long. And I'm gonna share with you a bit of my experience with SEO-V as well. So I really think that the experience that SEO-V brought to me is an amazing experience, because it really tests your adaptability, your flexibility in a professional working environment. But it also created a perfect atmosphere for you to learn as a person, and to learn in a group of people who share the same values with you. So I think SEO-V is a perfect experience for all the younger people like us. Um, there's one piece of advice that I would like to give to all the candidates who are preparing their interviews in the next few weeks. The thing is that just make sure that you know the company that you're applying for. So make sure you do your research about the company, the positions, the current news in the industry that the company operates in. I think it's very important. And the second piece of advice is that just try to structure your answer. Structure, structure, structure. It's really important, because it makes the life of the interviewers 10 times easier if you come prepared and you have a very well organized and well structured answer. So those are the two things I would like to give you as an advice for the interviews preparations for the next round. Any wise words from other speakers? Chị Hạnh Nguyễn, any additional comments from you?
Well,
Well, I just add up a point, especially for those who apply for the jobs in financial companies, because these position requires a lot of technical skill. So before the interview, you should go go through and review for your financial knowledge. They will not ask very difficult questions. They just ask very simple, but you have to have a strong foundation for this. Well, I experienced this in my interview with EY, and it turned out that good preparations give you very good results in this interview. Yes, so be prepared for technical questions.
Chị Hạnh, just want to follow up on that. So, what are the
Yeah.
websites that you think would be helpful in terms of trying to know more about the technical questions? Any particular
Mm,
website?
well, actually, you can. There are some resources from the universities in US about the guide for example, the Wall Street guide. Um, is lists about some. It is many questions relating to finance from uh, elementary level to advanced level and a very broad range of field. So maybe it's a good way reference, and uh, you can also review your textbook. It is a good source for you. Just very simple question. For example, what are the three financial statements and how they're related to each other? Very simple one, but you have to improve your strong knowledge, your strong foundations.
Yep, thank you, chị Hạnh. And I think that bring us to the end of the webinar today. I really hope that you guys found the information and the experience that we shared with you throughout the webinar is helpful and somehow answer the questions that you still have in mind regarding to the round 3 interviews. So in terms of the next step, I am aware that you have to indicate your choices a partner firm by tomorrow. So please make sure that you do a bit of research about the companies, the job positions, and you can be strategic as well when choosing which partner firms to apply for. And we'll be follow up with you regarding all the questions that have been asked and answered in this webinar via email. So you will have a list of everything that's been covered in this webinar, so you will not miss out on anything. And in the meantime, if you have any questions related to the recruitment process or you're still not sure what's going to happen next in round 3, then feel free to email us and we'll try to get in touch shortly. Thank you very much for joining us today and best of luck with your interview with our partner firm. And we hope to have as many of you joining us in this summer program as possible. Thank you very much. Thank you all the speakers as well, sparing your time on a Saturday night and helping the candidates sharing the interview tips. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks everyone. Bye.